When somebody asks you at a networking event or maybe some kind of social party, so what do you do? How long does it take for you to mention your company name? If your entire sense of worth, authority, and this whole idea of importance, right, is wrapped up in a title that someone else could take away with a single HR email, you aren't a leader. What you are, in fact, is a tenant. You're leasing that authority, you're leasing that identity even from a corporation that doesn't actually own your brilliance. They're just renting it, right? So today we're talking about this idea of like the identity crisis, and it's something that keeps so many people, so many corporate professionals specifically, really just stuck in jobs that they don't hate, right? They're not growing, they don't enjoy it. It's not connected to their passion, and we're gonna take some time today, strip away this corporate mask and find that CEO that's been hiding underneath. And it's time to move into this idea of elevation, right? Elevating your mindset that actually allows you to move forward. And, I was thinking about this the other day, and I had posted on LinkedIn over the weekend. I got a chance to spend the entire weekend, right? Saturday and Sunday with some amazing women and really challenge ourselves, push ourselves, think outside the box, have some really vulnerable conversations. And that was a question that kept popping up. And it was interesting to see all the different responses. And I had this moment where I was like, okay, back in the day, I would have started with, I work at such and such, and just go into my job title and some of the different things that I do there. And I found myself really trying to come from a place of talking about the results that I provide for others, right? What are those outcomes? And starting to kind of change the narrative for myself. So I was like, why not have a conversation with my subscribers around what that process was like and how to start cultivating that for yourselves. So when you pause and think about it, why is it so scary to leave, right? Like no one's, that, no one's forcing you to stay, but you find so many people who don't want to leave. And I even get so many emails every single day with people saying, how did you get brave enough to walk away? I wish I had your courage, things like that. And honestly, like it's not just the paycheck. It really is this idea of that borrowed authority. When you walk into the room as the director of strategy or the sales president or the sales VP of, I don't know, a Google, a Amazon, some big giant company out there, you feel 10 feet tall, right? You say it with pride, you say it with your chest, as I love to say, and you think people are listening to you, but a part of your brain is terrified that if you were to walk in that same room and say, hey, I'm, just Jane Doe, or mention a company that you just launched, mention a business that's only been around for, 6 months, are people going to respond the same way? And that thought process and that fear really does hold a lot of people captive. And one of the first things that I work with my clients on is the fact that we have to take some time and really perform this honest audit, right? You've spent years building their brand, their legacy, their reputation, and you become an expert at being an employee, but your title, it really is a lease. And when that lease is up, you need to know who's left standing, right? So who are you without the title, without, the fancy corporation behind you? Who are you as a person? And what is that value that you bring to others? So I'm so sorry. So I want to do a quick exercise. So if you've got a pen and paper, feel free to pull it out, or your notes on your app, or even just save this to come back later when you have some time. But I want you to do a quick exercise, and what I want you to do is describe what you do without using a single word from your official job description, right? So not what it said on the application whenever you applied, not what it says in my HR when you look at the the hierarchy tree of employees. What is it that you do? So maybe some ideas, right? So instead of saying like, oh, I'm a finance manager, maybe it's a strategic resource optimizer, right? You're managing this 50 million, 50,000, however much budget, right? For a business, it's not just being a financer. Like, what is it that you're actually doing? And maybe you've gotten to be a part of a project where you just finished leading a team through a merger, right? Like I hear so many companies kind of going through that. I've got a couple of clients that are working on projects that have this kind of merger aspect to it. And it's not that these individuals are just project leads, like a lot of them are this idea of, I love to call it like a chaos to clarity architect, right? Taking all of this mumbo jumbo and all this craziness that's going on over here and providing something that's very streamlined, something that's very thoughtful and thought out. And this is that elevate part of the framework, right? Taking the skills that you've been using to make these corporations and these other people rich and reframing them as sovereign assets, right? Skills, assets, talents that you have that belong to you that you're able to go out there and utilize them to service others. So your value, it doesn't come from, the badge you wear, the name that's on your paycheck, so to speak, but it really does come from this idea of what is it that you bring and how are you able to support and help and service others. And honestly, within that aspect too, it really does come from the fact that you have to take a moment and realize like your authority, it really is borrowed. Um, in that instance, and it shouldn't be borrowed, it should be earned, right? And the fear of this, blank LinkedIn profile, when once it disappears and you realize you aren't necessarily starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, these years of experience that you have doing the job. And I saw on, oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember what platform I was on, and somebody asked a very interesting question, and they said, does the experience or does the certification make more sense, right? Like what is it that people need? And I was, thinking about that question, and it reminded me of my sister who I love dearly. So I have a sister who runs marathons, and and it was funny because growing up, right, like I was the one that was always like, come on, go to the gym with me. It's going to be so much fun. And she was not trying to have it. And then one day, COVID came, so all my favorite gyms closed down. So I bought a rower and a treadmill and put it in the house just because I was like, I need something to do stuck in the house, as I'm sure, thousands, if not millions of other people did the same thing. And she got on that treadmill, she loved it, and she now runs marathons. And for whatever crazy reason, she's even considering possibly doing an ultra marathon. But she did her first marathon and she ran it under 4 minutes. And I think she's ran like 4 or 5 marathons at this point now. And she does the half marathons, the 10Ks, all the things. And I've been telling her for the longest, like, hey, Julie, like, you need to go and, help other people just like you and, be a be a personal trainer, help people that are looking to run, right? Because it's not just going outside and running. There's everything that she does around strengthening her muscles to be able to do it, the recovery, right? She does the whole gamut, the fuel that she needs. And, she's like, no, I have to take the certification first. And the certification, I finally was like, look, I can go out there and take a certification. I'm a great test taker, right? I could go out there and take a certification, but if somebody wanted to run a marathon under 4 minutes or 4 hours, oh my gosh, not four, you would probably die. Under 4 hours, would they get the person who's gone out there and ran her first marathon under 4 hours and has consistently improved? Or would they go with the person who in this case would be me, who could go out there, get a certification, but has never even ran a 5K, and probably couldn't even run, a 40-yard dash, right? They probably would go with the person who has the experience, who's done the thing, who's shown not just success, but consistent growth. So when you guys are in the space of like, oh, I need to go out there and get this other certification or this other thing, it's like you have so much experience, and really hold on to that when these thoughts start coming up in your mind. So honestly, like what is the real reason that you're holding on to the title? And for a lot of people, it's being afraid of what others will think. Your former colleagues, maybe your family, your college friends. You're afraid that they'll see your exit as this step down. And I want to offer up this quick little mind shift for you. Stepping out of a cage, even if it's a gold-plated one, it's never a step down. It's always going to be this idea of a step out. And your title, like it really has become a ceiling. It tells you exactly how much you can earn, when you can eat, and how you should think. And breaking that ceiling, it really is going to be the only way to build a legacy that actually belongs to you, to your family, one that you can be proud of and have a deep sense of ownership around. and you are more than your business card, right? Like I want that to be what's drilled home, what your big takeaway is. You're more than your business card. You are a powerhouse of transferable skills and untapped potential, and you can't see the roadmap if you're still blinded by that corporate logo. So now, because I know my audience is full of high achievers who want to do something with this information, I'm going to give you two CEO mindset assignments for the week. These aren't for your boss. These are for the future version of you. So the first thing I want you to do is open, a doc, a notes app, maybe you're old school like me and you use pen and paper still, and write a 3 sentence bio of yourself. But here's the catch: you cannot use your current job title, your company name, or any industry acronyms that belong to them, right? You have to focus entirely on the transformation you provide. If you're a project manager, stop saying you manage timelines and start saying things like, you architect order out of chaos to save companies millions. Own the result, not the role. So that's the first assignment. The second assignment is this idea of the sovereign hour. And I love, love, love. This is my favorite thing to do, right? So this week, I want you to block out 60 minutes on your calendar and label it CEO strategy. Right. So CEO strategy. And during this hour, you aren't checking corporate emails. You aren't, going on Slack or Teams or Google Chat and connecting with other employees. You aren't solving someone else's fire. You're sitting with your own vision, right? Ask yourself, if I were my own boss today, what is the first thing I would fix? And this is how we begin that mindset shift from employee to owner. And I am going to be opening the doors to something very special soon that will help map out that entire exit strategy for you guys using that escape framework. But until then, go ahead, start working on that homework. Drop a comment below and tell me, how did it feel to describe yourself without your title? Was it liberating? Maybe a little bit terrifying? Maybe a little bit of both, right? And I want to hear, what is that titleless intro that you created for yourself? And if you found this helpful, hit subscribe. We're mapping the escape all month long, and I will see you in the next episode.